Whoa! Oh my God! What a great Friday it is! What a great feeling it is to have the guys on, talk a little bit of sports. We have been grinding all week trying to get these sports out to you guys, but last night was kind of a snooze fest. But it woke us up a little bit towards the end of the game. But before we even get to all that, welcome to Shot of Sports. I'm your host today, Nizer Spencer, here with Jalen and B, here with David Pollier, with Drew Best. Hey, Jalen, the Jazz, they start pretty soon, bro. What's the plan, bro? I know y'all got Walker Kessler. Are y'all about to sell him or what? What's going on? I need some inside information.
Can't really say much because when we was on our meeting, they said they gotta be very big with disclosure. But I mean, it's just really pretty much just basically like a feel, like to see what he gonna prove and show out what he gonna show us and stuff before we offer something like that. They trying to get one thing. They trying to get something out of him. Like I think something like on the offensive end, they trying to become a little more offensive heavy with him. I'm trying to make him knock down a jump shot, which, in my opinion, I don't know why, but they try to get him to knock down jump shots and all that stuff. So yeah, but the mammoth started already. So
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, why are they trying to make him be an offensive threat? I mean, he's already clearly one of the best defenders in the league. Like, what's the plan?
I guess they try to make him like a two-dimensional kind of player. It doesn't just because with how certain players like Anthony Davis, he can get his offensive back, but he's also great on the defensive end too. So we trying to get that as well, trying to have our center be good on offense and defense. So
yeah, but you can have like a white Rudy Gobert, you know what I'm saying? Like that'd be fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be cool, but Rudy Gobert, we know he ain't nothing for his offense. So
sometimes he can be sparking
out on the paint and bad things can happen,
Yeah, we need a little bit more consistency. I think they trying to get out of him. So
plus, their front court is good now too. They got they got Taylor Hendricks who's solid if he can come back from that injury. They got Philip Howsky look good. Like they got some options up there.
Yeah, y'all gonna see
32 and 50.
Should I draft Walker Kessler in my fantasy basketball?
Sure. It'll definitely be something. So you'll see very soon. Very soon.
All right, man. Well, hey guys, subscribe and like and hit the like button for us, man. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Twitter.
By the way, PCH just hit his 30th homer, 30 season.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go.
Only took him 2 months.
We'll get some of that talk in a little bit, but before we get to any of that stuff, let's talk a little bit about last night's snooze fest. Seahawks versus Cardinals. I mean, up to the last point of the game, last drive of the game, it was pretty interesting. But Sam Darnold drove them down the field for a game-winning field goal. Kyler Murray was struggling a little bit, but not really. I think it was more on his receivers that game than him, because Sunday he was struggling a little bit against the Niners. But this game, he looked like he was hitting his marks. People were just dropping the balls, and I think you know exactly who I'm talking about. But I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. I think you know exactly what I'm talking. I'm not going to say people. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. But listen, I just want to get you guys' input on last night's game. Not the most exciting NFC West matchup that we're going to get all year, but I'm sure that we'll get some better one next Thursday when the Niners face the Rams. But give me your thoughts on that. David, I'll start with you.
Yeah, man, I didn't watch the whole first half of the game, but I was very surprised that Seattle's offense was working as good as it did. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't get a single target the whole half. It's not often you see your number one receiver not get looked at all, and you have a multi-score lead heading into halftime. But I thought this game, honestly, even though the Seahawks won, posed a couple of problems that exist within the Seahawks defense, moreover their secondary. A lot of, like I said, I mean, you forced 2 turnovers, but basically both of them were on – one of them was because Marvin Harrison just completely stopped running the route for some reason, and the other one was just both those interceptions were not on Kyler Murray at all, and they were kind of gift wrapped to the Seahawks defense. Devon Witherspoon did not look good in that game, especially not on that end zone threat, but he got beat multiple times, and I don't know I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know what happened to Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen was the best rookie corner in that class, arguably. He was up there with rookie sauce And every year for him has just gotten worse and worse and worse. And Witherspoon, I have a little bit of a longer leash with because this is only year 3 for him. But Woolen, these are supposed to be your top 2 lockdown corners, and they've been extremely vulnerable to start the year. So obviously it's a good win for Seattle. Divisional win. I believe this is like 8 straight now against the Cardinals.
I think 8 straight. Yeah, you're right.
And it was a good second half, like you said, but this was not a comfortable win. And I think that there's some real issues that need to be addressed with not only the structure of the Seahawks offense, but with their secondary.
Real quick, Trey Benson has played four games where he has seen 10+ touches. That's last night, 13 for 54 yards, no touchdowns. 13 for 51 yards, no touchdowns. 12 touches, 87 yards, no touchdowns. And 12 touches, 17 yards, no touchdowns. Those are all his 4 games with 10+ carries. You know, a bell cow usually gets 18 to 20 touches a game. And if you double his touches, he's cracking 100 yards probably and getting more production. But that just for you fantasy users out there, I know some of you may have picked him up in the fantasy market, but just keep that in mind. Like they're going to have to start using him a little bit more. But Drew, I want to get your input on the game last night. How we feel about it?
Yeah, well, I guess to start, it was a horrible fantasy game if you were owned one of the running backs, and you were hinting at it right there. Trey Benson gets the ball, couldn't get in. DeMercado gets the scores, and of course Kenneth Walker doesn't get in. Even Charbonnet, I don't think got in for a score either.
No, he got in. He got in.
All right, I missed that one. My apologies. But either way, I think that I do like the rivals concept. I like the jerseys. I think that that was really fun. I think that the kickoff after the Cardinals tied it up was probably gift wrapped for the Seahawks to allow them to have even decent field position, because anyone who starts at the 40 only has to get 20 yards in 30 seconds with 2 timeouts. That's kind of routine for most professionals, in my opinion. And especially, I mean, good play by Smith and Jigba to recognize the ball's behind them. It wasn't a well-thrown ball by Darnold unless it was a planned comeback. But, I mean, I needed Njigba to get a couple of more points out of that one. Same thing with Marvin Harrison. He had a good second half. Everybody was trashing him in the first half, and it's because rightfully so. He wasn't good. But, I mean, I think that I was just saying before we got on, I think that he was on a slow downward trajectory, and I think that we're going to start seeing that little peak now that he's got a little bit more of that security. Like, he scored. He had a solid game, like, at least in the second half. He's going to get targets, and I think that they'll be able to figure that out. I'm not too worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. at this point. I guess beyond that, I don't really have any other notes.
Jalen, how you feeling about the game last night, man?
I really seen a lot of growth, I thought, from Marvin Harrison. You know, he had 1 catch for 8 yards in the first half, and at one point in like the fourth quarter, I think it showed the graphic that he had like 4 or 5 catches for 58 and a touchdown. So the growth I'm seeing is that he can have a bad half, but he can also turn it around, like maybe go to the halftime and maybe look at maybe a little bit of film about what he was doing wrong in the first half, to see him come back out in the second half and, you know, just elevate like that. That was pretty cool to see, especially that turnaround, that back shoulder catch. I was like, oh yeah, he's going to be just fine. But for the Seahawks, gritty. That's all I saw was gritty. They allowed the game time touchdown, but they had 20, 30 seconds to come back and win the game. And, you know, what I'm seeing for the Seahawks, they could be more than capable of winning the NFC West, you know, because I feel like Jackson Smith and Njigba, you know, even though Nazir wanted to try to trade for him, that's not happening. But
gotta shoot your shot, man.
Nice try.
Gotta shoot your shot, buddy. You gotta shoot your shot.
Right.
Marvin Mims is still on the market if anybody wants him.
But for Jackson Smith and Jigba to have that bad of a first half, he didn't have no catches in the first half, and he had 12 rushing yards, and for him to end the game with 4 catches for like 79, that goes to show you right there. Like they also have a number 1 wide receiver that can have a bad half and can turn around in the second half as well and make them go win games. So I've really seen a lot of grit from both teams, actually, especially from the Seahawks, though, for them to allow the time, score, and then to come down in 30 seconds or 20 seconds to come back and win the game. It's a lot of grit.
You know, my two takeaways here. I'll start with the Seahawks. Their defense is unbelievable, man. I mean, they're so strong and fast, and they're no Legion of Boom or anything like that, but they're still, you know, young and fast and just so fundamental on every area of their positions. And I got to give credit to their head coach. I mean, he's been praising, you know, that Seahawks defense ever since he got there a few years ago when Pete Carroll left. His main goal has been getting that defense back up to that level, that Super Bowl caliber level, to where they can compete and, you know, not have to rely too much on their offense and really focus on that defense and stop the other team from scoring points. So I have to really shout out that defense because that's a top 5 defense in these past 4 weeks for sure, especially last weekend when they played the Saints. I mean, they made them look like a JV team out there. So that's my first takeaway. My second takeaway, man, like the thing with Marvin Harrison, man, I know people keep saying it's confidence and he has to, you know, he has to just get over the hump and be confident in himself. I don't even think I think it's coaching. I genuinely do. I think that, you know, coaching is so important to these positions because take a look at QJ. I mean, he was dropping things left and right. Devontae Adams early in his career was dropping things left and right with Mike McCarthy at the helm. And then, you know, he started to pick up a little bit with Mike McCarthy. But then when you get Matt LaFleur, I mean, I don't know what happened, but he started catching everything. He became one of the best wide receivers in the league, if not the best. So I think it comes down to coaching, really, when it comes down to these young wide receivers, these young quarterbacks, these young offensive weapons in general, to where, you know, you got to coach these guys up. You got to give them that confidence that they need to find in themselves, obviously. That's what Jim Harbaugh just did to QJ. Jim Harbaugh just gave, you know, QJ all the confidence in the world, hyping him up in the offseason, saying, hey, this guy's going to be an issue. No one believed him, including myself as a Chargers fan, didn't believe him. And I mean, he's proven everybody wrong this year. So I think it comes down to the coaching. The Cardinals staff needs to do a better job of getting that team, you know, to formulate together and start, you know, having them just win games better. I mean, they don't know how to close the games out. They're still immature in some areas. Kyler Murray's out there struggling and frustrated with everybody because he can't get anything done and move down the offense with his explosiveness. I mean, like I said, it just comes down to the coaching. I think it's very crucial for the coach to be involved with these players and develop them the right way.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out. You were saying shout out Mike McDonald, man. I think he's like, yeah. He's a great coach, man. He's not talked about nearly as he brought Michigan back from the brink, man, in 2021. I'll always be very grateful for him. But I had a point of what you were saying earlier with Marvin. I think Marvin Harrison is going to be a great receiver. I mean, obviously NFL Hall of Fame pedigree and everything, but I think the frustrations with him, obviously coaching might be an issue. I think the jury's still out on how good of a coach Jonathan Gannon is. But I think it's just the we've seen receivers that from that class drafted after him that have produced more in arguably worse situations. And I think the main frustration is the amount of time it's taken for him to adjust, because we've already seen guys like Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze who have started to come into their own with arguably much worse situations. But I agree, like, you just got to give them time, and you just have to make sure that you're putting them in the right situations to succeed. But, you know, you can also say that he shouldn't be dropping wide open passes, you know, without a guy with like 5 feet. So I see both sides of that.
It's a lot of mistakes that go into it, obviously. It's just, I really think it comes down to coaching at the end of the day, for sure.
Well,
I'll say this. I said that I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be the best receiver out of that 2021 Ohio State receiver room. I'll just throw that out there.
Not a bad take.
I think he has the highest floor for sure out of those guys. And I think that a lot of the guys have a little bit more potential. But I guess my follow-up question, we're talking a lot about coaching. Do you think that's something that teams are taking into consideration when they're either pursuing someone in free agency or going into a draft? Are they picking someone up just to have their talent and then hope that coaching works with it? Or do you think that they have ever been in a situation where there's a stud linebacker, but you don't think that you can develop him with the system you have, so you go with a safer option? Do you think that's something that happens within these franchises?
I think that happens all the time. I mean, I think teams really try to focus on those players that, you know, maybe they're struggling a little bit coming into the league, but you can coach that up. Like, we've seen it every year. I mean, there's always – no, I don't think that's going to come back for a very long time, my friend. But I mean, they're going to be, you know, a knockoff version for sure. But I don't know if they can get up to that level. But yeah, back to your question. I mean, coaching when they look for these players, I'm thinking that they try to obviously find the highest talent. That's pinpoint number one. But you also got to look at their personal life, see if they're confident enough in themselves, and if they can translate their talent to the team and be effective. Not only on the field but off the field as well. Can you be confident in yourself in practice and bring confidence out of your teammates? I mean, it all comes down to that player, obviously, but the fundamental and on field stuff, I feel like they try to do their best, I should say, to bring that out of him. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., like David said, he's gonna be fine. It's just I think he needs a little bit more time. I don't like that people keep calling him a bust. I think that's silly. I mean, it's his second year. I mean, I think calling someone a bust. I mean, you got to give him 4 years. What's the range?
I usually say around 3. I usually say around 3 because usually when I think of guys who get traded, I think if you're in the NFL specifically, it's somebody who gets traded before their rookie contract runs out, and then you see former first round pick. Like I was giving one of my friends who's a Cowboys fan shit when they traded for Kyer Elam. And Adam Schefter said, former first-round pick Kyer Elam is headed to Dallas. And I'm like, bro, that's how you know this guy has been horrible, is because you have to put first-round pick in his name because nobody would know who he is because he hasn't had any impact in the NFL. And it's guys like that, because if you're getting traded while you're on your rookie contract, you're a cost-controlled asset. If the team that drafted you, if they're giving up on you before your rookie contract is over, believe them. And even if it's only for a 4th or a 5th round pick, they're usually never work out. I was Jeff Okuda, for example. I was looking at the Lions selected him with the 3rd overall pick, and it was 2019, I believe. And he had some nice moments, but he got traded to the Falcons 2 years ago for a 5th round pick. I was watching the Vikings game the other day. Vikings are his 3rd team before his rookie contract is over, and it's guys like that who that's when I say that you're a bust. If you get traded on your rookie contract, it's kind of hard to rewrite that.
All right, Jalen, you got any comment?
No, I'm good.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to our next topic. Oh, not that one.
Whoa,
we're doing it again.
Upset and game of the week. This is going to be a fun one. We always do this one every Friday because why not? Okay, we got our first set of games on Sunday. We'll get to the Monday night games in a second. This one. Oh, wait, hold on. Nope, that's it. That's the wrong one. Let's look at this. All right, these are the odds with it. This is.
I think there's a better graphic in there.
I just want to show you the odds on the side.
Oh, gotcha.
The right side. You can see the odds and who's favored and not real quick, and then we'll get to the regular ones. Obviously, you can see at the top. Minnesota's favored, Atlanta's favored now because Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin are out, I'm pretty sure. Buffalo's favored they should be favored by 21. Detroit's favored by 10 against Cleveland. That'll be a tough one, low key. I think Cleveland's defense is, very stout after last week, and especially New England. I don't think they're going to win that game, but we'll get to that in a second. Chargers should be favored by more. Philly. That's a close one. I'm thinking 1.5. The line should be.
That's good around there. 3.5 field goal.
Yeah, Houston's favored. Shouldn't be. They're both 0-3. Maybe it should be a little closer than his touchdown. The Rams are favored.
Ooh, that's going to be a good game.
It's a great game. San Francisco is favored against Jacksonville, as should be. Baltimore is favored against Kansas City. I don't know. It's going to be a scary one. Vegas is favored over Chicago. Wow.
Hey, this is the game. This is the game Genty breaks out, man. I'm telling you.
That is disrespectful.
I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet, because they played against Dallas.
Whatever. Green Bay's favored. Okay. All right. Whatever. Then you got these two. Miami's favored. Embarrassing. And then Denver's favored.
It's only 7.5. What?
Only?
Only? It should be a lot more.
Anyways, look, these are the games, like we said. I just wanted to show you guys the odds and the who's favored in those games, so you can get the idea of who you're picking. Now, I'll start with mine because why not? Upset. I got for the upset. Who did I have? I had Panthers over New England. I think that's an upset. I don't know why that's That it should be a lot closer than it looks. I think Panthers got that game in the bag. My lock in this week, I'll go a hard one. I'll go Rams over Colts. I think the Rams are very good. I think the Colts are very good as well, but I think the Rams have a little bit more experience on their side collectively as a team. And game of the week, I wish I could pick both, but I'm gonna go Eagles Buccaneers for my game of the week. I think that's gonna be a great game because Baker, if he plays, I think he's questionable right now, but if he plays, I mean that game's gonna be so fun to watch. And Jalen Hurts is getting a lot of hate recently online, but I still think he's great. So he's not top 5. I stand on that. I don't know why people say he is, but he is top 10 and he is a great quarterback. I don't know why people say he's not, but I think that's going to be a great game. So, yeah, upset Panthers, game of the week, Eagles, Buccaneers, and lock is Rams over Colts. Jalen,
go. My lock, I'm going to try to go an easy one this week. Bills and Saints. That's going to be a lock for me, the Bills. My upset.
Take your time, Pastor.
Wow. My upset would probably I was looking at Cleveland and Detroit.
Dang,
but
you think they do it back to back?
You think Cleveland's got Detroit?
No.
I was looking at them, but I think if there's no Jaden Daniels, the Falcons are going to upset the Commanders.
Even after last week?
Yeah.
They got
It's kind of hard to take seriously when you get blanked by the Panthers. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Marcus
Mariota. Make it worse than that, though, right?
Like, okay, they're going to have a.
Mariota had a good game. I'm not going to lie. Like he looked good.
It's Mariota. I've been telling y'all this, man.
Or a revenge tour. But my game of the week, hands down, is Green Bay and freaking Dallas. That's my game of the week, 1,000%. That's going to be like cinema.
Oh, it's not even on here. Where is it? All right, am I tripping? Oh, yeah, it is. I'm tripping. I don't know why I didn't see it. Anyways, yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, you had Bills, Saints, then you had Packers, Green Bay for game of the week, and then your lock
would be the Falcons upset the Commanders.
Upset, yeah, okay. All right, David, go ahead.
My game of the week is easy. I think Chiefs and Ravens is the easy game of the week. I'm very interested to see how this Ravens team responds. Because after the game in Detroit the game against Detroit last week, you guys probably obviously watched that game, but do not let the score of that game fool you. Lions dominated that game from start to finish. Fun fact about that game, Ravens had a consecutive streak of 57 games with a sack that was broken against Detroit. They did not have a single sack, and the Lions, with no second pass rusher, sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times, and that is something. Obviously, the Ravens' offensive line isn't as good this year, and to be fair, for the defense, no Justin Madubuike, that's a big deal. But I'd be very interested to see how their defense responds because Ravens, especially under John Harbaugh, but they've always had good defenses for the better half of the last decade, really. And having that lopsided of a battle on the line of scrimmage, and then going to play a team like the Chiefs, I'm very interested to see how they dial in. And then the Chiefs, I mean, honestly, they handled the Giants, but I don't really think that was a comfortable win. I mean, the final score, again, for that game is a little bit deceiving because within like the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, it was still like a 1-score game or like a single-digit lead. So two teams that I feel like are kind of off to rougher starts than they imagined. It's going to be interesting to see whose pedigree comes through. But for upset of the week, I don't really know if you can call it an upset because both teams are 0-3, but I think the Titans are going to beat the Texans.
Yes, sir.
I think the Titans, I think Cam Ward has looked better week in and week out. Obviously, everything around him is basically working against him. But I think the Texans have easily been probably the most disappointing team in the league so far at this point. At least the Dolphins. The Dolphins have a win, right? Or are they 0-3 as well?
I think they're 0-3.
Oh, well, that's pretty disappointing as well. But the Texans, obviously, they've made the playoffs 2 years in a row. They came into this year with some pretty solid expectations. 0 run game to speak of. I hate to say it because I do like Nick Chubb, but I think Nick Chubb is washed. I think they need to start giving opportunities to Woody Marks. I really liked him coming out of USC, but Stroud has looked bad. He hasn't been able to sustain drives. The offensive line, you trade away a guy like Laramie Tunsil. I don't know what you expect is going to happen. And then the secondaries look bad. They just released C.J. Gardner-Johnson after he was their biggest defensive signing of this offseason. I think they're in the early stages of a spiral. And you lose a game like this, I don't know where you go from there, but I think it could happen.
Do you guys think, real quick before we get to you, Drew, David, I said this earlier this week. Do you think John Harbaugh is the Doc Rivers of the NFL? Because I do.
Ooh.
Because I genuinely do. I brought that up the other day.
Maybe not to the level of Doc Rivers.
I don't know, dude. If you think, look, here's my explanation here, real quick. Okay, they always have a lead. Okay, after week one, it just kind of solidified it for me. They have a lead, a big one even, and then they'll just choke it away and lose the game. The equivalent for me is a playoff game that they have. They'll have it. They'll have the game in their hands, and they'll just chuck it away. Doc Rivers is the coach that has blown the most seven game series in his career. Yeah. So I think that's John Harbaugh, but in just one game form. You know what I mean? He blows leads just like Doc Rivers blows the series. I mean, maybe it's not to the same level because there's so many games in the playoff series for the NBA. But you know what I mean. You can compare them both and kind of just be like, oh, well, kind of. They both had a championship team. They won the championship with. They had a stacked team during that run. I mean, the Ravens defense was disgusting with Ray Lewis and that team leading that team. And obviously, we all know about the Celtics and Doc Rivers back then in 2009 or whatever. But I mean, I don't see a difference. I really don't. But that's just my little.
Well, first of all, I got to say, Penny saying all Ohio State QBs are ass. Love that. Love that.
Go ahead, Drew. Give me your picks.
All right. We'll start with a lock. I've been kind of going back and forth with a lot of these, but I think the Lions are going to be my lock. I don't think the Browns can maintain. I think that offensive line is going to be able to hold up with the rush that the Browns bring. Which, by the way, Malik Collins? That's that defensive tackle that's just swimming by everybody in the league. I think that's pairing him with Myles Garrett is scary, but I'll take that. And we'll have to see upset. I was thinking Giants, but I don't know how Jackson Dart's going to play. I guess in terms of upset, I would have to. Is the Bucs technically an upset?
Yes, Philly
Maybe.
is favored, so technically yes.
Yeah. That's not fun though. Let's take. Are the Chiefs an upset?
Yes. The Ravens are favored.
The 49ers look vulnerable to me against Jacksonville. They just lost Nick Bosa. That could be something to watch.
Who's the favorite in the Bears-Raiders game?
The Raiders.
The Raiders are favored against the Bears.
All right, never mind there.
You don't think the Bears can win that?
I don't want the Bears to win that one. Non-biased bias, but who's the favorite in the Rams-Colts game?
Rams.
The Rams are favored.
The Rams 1.5, I think.
All right, that'll be my upset then. Indiana Jones goes into LA, makes it happen.
How legit do you guys think that whole start is? Because I saw some stat. It's he's the first Colts QB of all time to have 3 rushing or passing touchdowns in his first 3 games as a Colt.
Well,
it's pretty legit.
I think it's pretty good.
Just look at how they play it.
Yeah.
It don't look like it's a fluke.
Yeah. Look, I said this earlier this week. The Colts owner, I think her name is Carly Ursay Gordon. Dude, I genuinely think she might be the biggest reason why they're. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I think owners should take a note out of her notebook and do what she's doing. Go on the sidelines, be involved, investing the money that you put in this team, because I mean they're doing their job. Everyone's doing their job. They look so good,
Out there today with a clipboard.
Imagine the Packers did that with their hundreds of thousands of owners.
Exactly right. But I'm just saying, like, if a singular owner, if you're a part of an owner group or whatever, the main owner, the main owners should definitely be very heavily involved. But the side owners can be involved as well. But I don't know. I think that's a huge reason why they're doing so good, because she's always there. Even on the road, I'm pretty sure she's like down there with them. So I don't know. I think that's so cool to me. But
she was down there today. She was down there today.
Coaching,
she was down there today drinking water, shaking her head with a clipboard or a notepad. So she doing something right.
I'm telling you, man, they're probably nerve wracking because all their bosses, their literal bosses, the only bosses, like just sitting there like a hawk, and I love it. People are hating on it, and I'm like, why? Like they're 3-0, So
I'd be interested to see what a team like that does at the trade deadline, because when teams that aren't supposed to be good turn out to be good, and like the whole like direction of the season like shifts, it's always interesting being like, okay, well, are we gonna change the course of our like long-term plan and maybe fork over some assets to get some like win now guys, or are we just gonna like ride it out, or like what's going on? Because I think like at this point, like I think it's pretty legit. I mean, I think Jonathan Taylor's been the best running back in football as of the first like 4 weeks.
JT, yes sir, that's my boy. Love JT, bro. I hope.
I gotta give you guys my game of the week still.
Go ahead.
You almost give me my game of the week.
Go ahead.
I guess the easiest one for me, I hate to copy someone else, but I'm going to take Packers Cowboys. That is going to be, if you are a football fan, you are watching that game. That is for sure.
That's absolute cinema.
It's like, it's not quite to the extent of Jimmy Kimmel getting back on air, but it's like, it is. I don't think it's going to even reach Rodgers against the Packers. But
I wonder how they're going to treat Parsons, because like, are they going to boo him, or are they going to like?
They're going to boo the crap out of him.
I think they're going to boo
Jerry.
I think it's so goofy though. It's like he didn't trade
real
himself.
Cowboys fans.
He wanted to leave though.
That's true.
He wanted to leave.
If the Lions,
Stafford,
if the Lions booed Stafford, I guess anything's possible.
He's gonna get booed. They're not playing a tribute video, which I don't think they should, but they're not gonna do any of that stuff. They're literally just gonna go in the game and try to headhunt.
Here's my question as we talk about game of the week. How many of these European early start games have ever been anything you remember other than the fact that they were in Europe? Like, do you ever remember a moment where they were playing in Ireland or England and it was a memorable game?
Why did they not do it at night?
Destroyed his knee playing on that shitty ass turf a couple of years ago, or maybe that was last year.
Well, like the Brazil game was fun. Like the Packers, that game was fun, and obviously not for Packers fans, but overall it was a good close game, a lot of scoring. But I feel like every single European game ends up like 21-13, and nobody's up yet, so nobody's really watching. But I don't know. I like the idea and I love it. It's happening. I just feel like we never get good games over there. And there's no reason that I can think of why, other than maybe the playing conditions. Probably got different turf out there.
I don't know. I think the games in Brazil are the best games so far. Have they had one in Mexico? I think they did a few.
They did, and that was the game where Jimmy Garoppolo was having someone shine a light in his eyes.
Yeah, that was. I think that was a good game. I don't remember really very well, but
yeah,
the Brazil games have been the top games so far because the fans are involved. It's always prime time. It's not like in the morning or anything like that.
When's the Germany game? There's a Germany game this year, right?
I think next week actually. I think the Steelers go there. No, wasn't the Steelers Vikings supposed to do that or something?
Steelers and Vikings are in Ireland.
Oh, Ireland. Okay, never mind then. I don't know when the Germany one is, but I thought it was the Chiefs. The Chiefs one was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Chiefs were in Brazil earlier this year.
No. I'm saying I swear they had like another international game.
Very possible.
I don't know. Maybe
you got to capitalize on teams while they're at their peak for those national games, because that's how you try.
Why do they love the Jaguars so much for these? The Jaguars have been in like 4 of those.
They were going to experiment, put them overseas probably to see if they would be able to make more money there. I
also think time zones.
The NFL, but I don't understand why they do that like for college football. Like I guarantee you, like with the whole like. Especially like last year was like Florida State, Georgia Tech. Like I guarantee you, like not a single person in Dublin, Ireland, knew who a single player on either of those teams were. like next year, Michigan is playing Western Michigan in Frankfurt, Germany. It's like, why drive 50 miles to play a school when you can drive halfway across the world? When you fly halfway across the world to play? Like that shit just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but.
It's an interesting initiative, and I think that it's good. It's better than not doing it. But I mean, like you said, if we get like one super memorable game, then I feel like that would be pretty fun. And then I think that would set the trend for this is what you can expect from these European games. But it's just been a lot of bleh for the first like decade or so they've been doing it.
Well, you got to think like you don't think about like how much travel and like the different time zones and the late and like all that stuff and how like so much about football is like about routine. And
Rogers was complaining today about not getting on the plane sooner out to Ireland. He is like, if it was up to me, we would have been there sooner. And I don't know. It obviously everybody has a routine, and you're going to have jet lag. So I guess everybody's affected differently, but it's a different atmosphere, that's for sure. And I think that's probably part of the reason. But I would love to get some more good games out there.
All right, guys, let's move on to our final topic, the fun one that everyone loves. At this time of year, especially, we got baseball talk with Drew, Jalen, and David. Now, this game or event or whatever you want to call it, segment, consists of me asking the questions as the moderator, and you guys are the talkers. You guys can talk as long as you want about any topic. I recommend that it stays a little bit shorter on the shorter side so we can get through all the questions.
Jesus Christ.
I got 3 questions for you guys, but I'll start off in the NL. The Brewers obviously have that one spot at the moment, not clinched yet, I believe, but they're aiming for it. Now, Milwaukee's been in this spot before where they're good. They look amazing going into the postseason. Great regular season that didn't always translate to postseason success. Very heartbreaking sometimes. Okay, facing a hungry team like the Cubs or Padres, hopefully if they stay in this, as the 1 seed, how much do past playoff frustrations weigh on this roster, and which players do you trust to rise above the pressure? Drew, I'll start with you since you're the other Brewers fan along with myself, but I'm not the one talking right now. I want you to tell me, what frustrations weigh on this roster, and which players do you trust to rise above the pressure?
Man, it's still a very young team, and everybody knows that. But the thing that is different, especially compared to last year, is it seems like there's like a magic that they have, and that not only that, but they have their veterans. They have Freddie Peralta, who's consistently been good. They have Christian Yelich, healthy, knock on wood. Let's not give him a single at bat in this last series. William Contreras is still battling stuff. Woody's battling stuff. I think that will be fine as long as they can make it through the wild card, which right now it looks like they'll run into one of either the Padres or the Cubs. And I mean, both of these series, you're going to have the better pitching staff overall, I think, than either of those teams. In terms of offense, it's definitely debatable. The Cubs have a really good offense. The Padres look pretty strong. But especially for the Padres, if they don't have Michael King, we're gonna have a better setup there. I think the people who are going to have to rise above is we're going to have Andrew Vaughn get back into shape. We're going to have Chourio play at the top of his game.
Haven't heard his name in a while from any of the Brewers faithful in the Hawkinton chat. Haven't been mentioned at all recently.
Listen, Chourio hasn't been horrible. He's been playing fine. He only got sort of overshined by PCA's 2-month prime, and now he's coming back down to earth. And obviously he's not had a PCA season, but he was out for like a month, and I think that he's had a good season overall, and it's going to take him a little bit more time. He's 22 years old. He's got plenty of time to figure it out.
No, I was talking about Vaughn. I don't mind Chourio.
Oh, King Vaughn? Yeah. He's got a little bit of,
that's what I was saying. I haven't been cyberbullied.
I don't think he's hit a home run since August.
Yeah, I know. And, I hate to be the guy that said I told you so, but,
There's still time. There's still
He's
time.
still batting like 90 as a Brewer. So overall, that was a win. Savali isn't even a White Sox anymore.
I know. But
Oh, by the way, guys, we got a Cubs fan and a White Sox fan. So Chicago versus Milwaukee right now, as it's probably going to be in the NLDS, I hope at least. But now, Drew, I mean, are you done with your response, or keep?
Yep, that's my spiel.
All right, we're gonna go with the Cubs fan since they're in the playoffs and the White Sox aren't. Yeah. So the Cubs. So Jalen, I want to get your opinion. I think who's gonna have to step up to beat you guys if you guys are able to get past the Padres, which I think you guys are going to be able to, because I don't want to see the Padres. I want to see the Cubs more than I want to see the Padres, but that's just me. What do you think? Who do you think is going to have to step up if they want to get the series over you guys in the NLDS?
I know it's actually two guys. I'm
Two
thinking
guys.
of.
Go ahead. However many you want.
I'm not worried about the Brewers lineup. The Brewers lineup are going to hit you to death regardless. But it comes down to Quinn Priester and Jose Quintana for me. I believe I'm not sure if Woodruff is going to be available, but he should, I think, by the end. And Peralta is going to be there as well. He's been pretty good. It's going to come down to Quinn Priester, and it's going to come down to Jose Quintana. Like, if those two pitch anywhere like they did against the Cubs when they played them last series, I guess in Milwaukee, I guess it was, the series will be over in 4. Because we always talk about how important starting pitching is, right? And how important those first 3-4 innings are, especially in a postseason game. If the Cubs tee off like they were doing it in Milwaukee all season, they tee off like they do the first 2-3 innings, it's going to be a very long series because we all know the bats of the Chicago Cubs are pretty high level. You know, they just got Kyle Tucker back and he's healthy. And, you know, the Brewers are going to be sitting down for about a week. And the Cubs are going to be playing for about an extra 2 or 3 games. And it could give Kyle Tucker a chance to heat up. So I really believe that the Brewers have to have Quinn Priester and Jose Quintana. They have to pitch well in order for them to go to the CS, in my opinion, regardless if it's against the Cubs or the Padres.
Okay, real quick, David, as the lone poopy White Sox fan, what are your predictions for the Cubs and Padres, and what do you think it's going to take for the Brewers to beat either of those teams?
Well, maybe I'll play Homer here, but going off of Drew's point, X factor for this series is going to be Dylan Cease. Especially if there's no Michael King. Cease is a guy that was once very highly regarded. Honestly, he was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball 2 years ago. But he's had a rough season, kind of had a rough go of it for his entire tenure in San Diego. But we all know the levels that he can reach, and he's going to be the unquestioned ace if the Padres are without Michael King. And the thing with the Padres that scares me if I'm a Cubs fan is that you have a window of 5 or 6 innings where you can get work done, because as soon as that bullpen comes in, there's going to be virtually no room for error. I'm just imagining a 7, 8, 9 of Randy Vasquez, Mason Miller, and Robert Suarez. That might be the scariest bullpen in all of the postseason.
Y'all think Michael King is hurt?
It wasn't he questionable, like Drew was saying?
No, he's healthy right now. He pitches Saturday.
Okay.
Good sign.
Okay. I remember Drew. You said something earlier about him not being available, so I wasn't sure.
Earlier in the week, I know that
he's
there
been
was talks
pitching
that he might not pitch right away.
He's been throwing since September 9th.
Okay. Well, then in that case, maybe not as big, but still, like, I mean, the same thing, like, you know, like. He'll be probably getting the ball in like game 2 or game 3, but I'm telling you, man, this Padres bullpen is scary. I think going up against a guy against a guy like Mason Miller in the 8th inning, and then having to go out and face Robert Suarez, like that's a little scary to me. So I think if the Padres are going to win, their starters outside of King are going to have to be lights out, and for the Cubs, I think it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be how good the other starters do. I don't know if you'd agree with me with this, Jalen. I think right now it'll probably be Imanaga, but I think Cade Horton is the best starter on the Cubs, and I think it hasn't been relatively close as of recently. And maybe you still start Shota in game 1. You don't want to give the ball to a rookie in game 1 of a best of 3, but the Horton has looked light years beyond Imanaga and Boyd as of late, and I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on those guys to carry the load, because the Cubs bullpen is also very good. Daniel Palencia, there's a lot of depth, but it's going to be about how those first 5 or 6 innings go, because we've seen guys like Shota, you know, they throw 6 scoreless one day and then they just melt down their next start. So whoever's starting rotation outside of their like top 1 or 2 guys holds up better, I think is going to be the difference for this series. But if I had to pick who would face the Brewers, I like the Cubs lineup, but I think we talked about this last week. We've seen a very different version of the Cubs offense since the All-Star break than we did the first half of the season. Like I was at a game, I think it was the 4th of July game where you guys set the record for how many home runs you've hit in a game in franchise history. It was just one after another against the Cardinals. And that same offense has been few and far between ever since post All-Star break. And especially the main guys of like Suzuki and Tucker and PCA and Bush has been all right, but those like heavy hitters in the heart of the lineup, it's going to be up to them to become more consistent to try to look like what they did earlier in the summer.
2 really quick follow-up points. First, Dylan Cease could be, depending on his performance, pitching for millions of dollars worth of free agency money. If he can show that he can bounce back, he will get a lot more money on the market. If he performs poorly, he will definitely lose out on that opportunity because he's going to be one of the highest pedigree pitching free agents that we see, probably behind Fromber and maybe someone else. But he could be, especially if he performs well in the postseason, be making himself a lot of money. Second point, hot take. If the Reds make the playoffs, I think they can knock off the Dodgers in a 3-game series.
Wow. I like that.
I think
the pitching could work.
Yeah. With the healthy starters the Dodgers have right now,
that's impossible in my opinion.
It would be really hard because
the
Dodgers Stadium.
Jalen, talk about it. Jalen, why is that impossible?
Well, they got Blake Snell, let alone they just got a freaking guy that just went through 103 miles per hour and Shohei Ohtani, and he can hit 50 homers as well. So that's 2. They go get Tyler Glasnow as well back. He should be back right around there. And we ain't even talk about Yamamoto yet. That's 4. Here, Yamamoto had 200 Ks.
Ohtani's going to pitch 2 innings in 1 game.
That's why they were doing it. He's going to pitch 5. He's
Hunter
doing 5.
Green,
They just
underrated starter.
Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott.
I was just yep.
Chase Burns out of the bullpen. Like the bullpen is the most concerning thing for me if I'm the Reds. But same thing about the Dodgers. That bullpen's not that great either.
I would say I would ask Paul Skeens how Shohei Ohtani looks and how the Dodgers lineup looks. Then that'll be your answer. The 100 mile per hour fastball don't mean nothing to Freddie Freeman and Mookie.
All it takes is for the Reds to put together anything on offense. If Ellie De La Cruz can step up when the moment matters, that could be a upset that definitely happens. And
we're saying a lot of if. We already know what the Dodgers are.
There's a lot. Yeah, obviously the Dodgers are more.
I'm hearing a lot of
the
ifs.
Dodgers have more pedigree, they have more background, but the Reds are hot and they have great pitching. So it's just a matter of they need to hit. In order for my agenda to be pushed across the finish line, they need to hit.
I would take the Reds pitching depth right now over there because you can go Green, Abbott, Lodolo, Nick Martinez. That's you can go like 4 or 5 starters deep right now.
Absolutely crazy. They are
right
going
now,
to LA.
I think
the Dodgers are going to be matched up. Is all I'm saying.
They said that when I had Giannis not in the top 5, that I was
okay. All right, that take was ridiculous. Don't
They
bring
said
it
I
up.
was
Stop.
delusional.
Don't
We
bring
know
it
what
up.
the Dodgers are.
Come on.
Fully-
Don't
fully
do
saying
it.
a whole lot of ifs.
Obviously,
Reds.
the Dodgers. But you like
And the Reds ain't even there yet.
All this is it.
Shohei Ohtani hasn't thrown over 75 pitches in a single outing this year yet.
On this graphic, we're
Tyler
looking
Glasnow
at the
has-
Mets right now.
Tyler Glasnow hasn't even pitched this season. I'm just saying with the current – I agree with you with the current state of the Dodgers rotation. You're putting a lot on Snell and Glasnow. I think after those 2 guys, they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable right now because
Did I not just bring up Yamamoto with 200 Ks?
No, I'm saying, but after those 2 guys, who gets the ball game 3 though? I mean, like if it's Glasnow,
Did I
then
not just bring up Shohei Ohtani? They're building him up for the postseason.
I don't know.
Ohtani's not going to pitch more than 3 innings in a game.
I
Especially
really
not
don't
long.
think he will.
No, that's
I really
fine.
don't think
I
he
agree
will.
with that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
I mean, that's fine. He just hit 2 3-run homers. That's it. That's
It's
fine.
and that's the thing.
Like, what are we talking about?
The odds
That's
are
a lot of
stacked
ifs.
against them. They're at Dodger Stadium. it's obviously a very much an uphill battle. The Dodgers should win this 100%. I agree with you, Jalen.
And we're talking
The hot
about
take
a
for a
team
reason.
that is not even in the playoffs yet. They have to go
They're-
win 2 games.
They're one game away.
And the Mets are already there. Like,
It's a 1-game difference. If the Mets go 1-2 and the Reds go 2-1, the Reds make the postseason. They have the tiebreaker against them.
yeah,
All right,
but
you
the
know,
Mets
here's-
have to
here's
lose. They
what I'll
just beat
say.
the Cubs and Wrigley twice.
I think with the current, we've talked about this before. I think baseball is so much about momentum and who getting hot at the right time. I mean, like nobody thought the Tigers were going to beat the Astros last
The
year.
Reds
And
just lost the series to the
The
Pirates.
thing is
at
that
home.
the Mets on paper are a much worse matchup for the Dodgers. But I think with how bad the Mets have been, we talked about, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, the Mets have had one of the worst offenses in the MLB. They've gone from top 5 in almost every pitching stat to mid-20s.
Let me tell
I
you
think
something.
horrible.
what I'll say is I think the Reds right now would be a worse matchup for the Dodgers than the Mets would be.
We're talking about a team that is already sitting there already. The Mets are already there. But who do the Reds got to play Friday, tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday?
They play the Brewers.
Who do
We have
the
everything
Mets got to
locked up.
play? Who do the Mets got to play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Who do they play?
Let me
The
take a peek.
Marlins. It's over. The Mets are going
Yeah,
to
the
the
Marlins have been hot too.
Marlins are nice. Bro. I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. The Reds haven't suffered multiple 10-plus game losing streaks at different points of this season, though. The Mets have, and the Mets bullpen has been horrible. Has been horrible.
I would ask the Cubs how they would look at the Mets right now. They just went into Wrigley and put up 10, 11 runs in 2-3 games.
Their offense can carry them. That's true.
The Reds just swept the Cubs.
Yeah, they're off.
And
The
they
Mets
just lost
offense
2 to
can
the
carry them.
Pirates.
That's true. That's true. They can.
Like,
but
what are we saying? The Pirates.
See, what I'm saying
they could have
is-
arguably swept the Reds.
What I'm saying is they have the upside to potentially beat the Dodgers. That's my entire argument.
But they have to get there first. The Mets are
100%.
sitting there with a
100%.
game up.
Yes, but that is not guaranteed set in stone. All it takes is for the Reds to win 2 games and the Mets to lose 2.
So you said, so arguably, so guess what? If the Brewers lose 2 games and the Phillies go on and sweep whoever they playing, so you saying the Brewers gonna end up playing the Dodgers?
They could, but we have to take a look at what the Phillies are running into, and they're running into the Twins. It's very doable, but all it takes is for either the Brewers to win 1 game or the Phillies to lose 1 game, and we lock in the 1 seed.
I'm
the Brewers are playing for something. So the
Drew's saying.
Brewers are going to be playing for something. So that means the Reds are going to have a harder time beating the Brewers in Milwaukee, by the way.
Yes, I think, Jalen, I think you're right on that. I think that the Brewers should win 2 out of 3 in that one. But I think the Reds could definitely, with their season on the line, put a little bit more eggs in one basket and try and make things happen.
All right.
I think that they could make it happen.
All I'll say is right now, I think the Reds would be a worse matchup for the Dodgers than the Mets would be. With the Mets have limped into the postseason.
Well, Nolan McClain looked pretty darn good right
All right,
now.
let's move on to the next one. We got to move on to the next side of the AL. AL Central
don't even get me
drama.
started, bro.
Listen,
Don't
the
even
AL.
get
We
me
were talking about it. We were talking about it. The AL drama on the other side. You got the Guardians, Tigers, wild card spots. Cleveland and Detroit are battling for the AL Central because they are tied right now. No game separated. They are tied.
Cleveland has the tiebreaker, though, I believe, right?
Yeah, Cleveland does have the tiebreaker, but one could end up in the wild card round instead of as division champs. Which path gives you a better chance? Winning the division and avoiding early drama, or scrapping through the wild card? Which one do you guys think these guys are
wild card, hot take, wild card, being able to get those games out of the way. I mean, look at what happened to the Braves against the Phillies the last couple of years. Like, Brian Snitker went on record and said that he kind of wishes that they had those earlier games to be played. That's one of my biggest baseball hot takes, is that I think wild card, like teams that make the wild card and are underseeded, are in better chances to make a deep run than teams that get the bye.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I mean, you definitely have seen it in the past. Obviously, it depends on, everything comes down to the games you play. And I think that there's people who get to play in the wild card, they can ride that momentum into another series, knowing that they did win a series and the other team was not playing in that time. but I also think that it could serve a better purpose. On the other hand, for those teams that do get the bye, and I mean, as a Brewers fan, I don't mind getting past the wild card at this point because they haven't proven that they could win in the wild card very often. So
don't even get me started, man.
I think there's a lot of things that factor into both sides, but I can definitely see that argument.
Jalen, go ahead.
What was the question again?
The question was, let me find it one more time. Hold on.
Would you rather be wild card or have the bye?
Yeah.
I'd rather have a wild card because you come out of the season and then you have another series, but you have a day off like it's regular, you know?
Right.
While the divisional teams are waiting a full week, it seems like.
Pretty much.
So sometimes it's like you get rusty. Just ask the teams that have lost. The Phillies when they played the Padres, that went almost 7.
Yep.
So it's like, and they should have all whopped the Padres back 2 years ago.
Yep.
They did the Dodgers. They lost to the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks went all the way to the World Series.
That was great.
And then the Rangers, they went all the way to the World Series and won the World Series. So I would say probably weird. The wild card is probably the best because you just keep playing.
What I'm saying, man.
Now
those Reds going around though.
And that was my World Series, by the way.
I was gonna say, yeah, we're gonna get to that. Was gonna be my last question. My question before that. So we got the Mariners. They clinched their first round bye, I'm pretty sure, in the AL, while other teams have still got to fight through the wild card. In your mind, does carrying late season momentum from a wild card win trump the benefit of rest and preparation? Yes. I mean, I know we just went over that a little bit, but think about this. Does home field advantage not matter in this sport? I mean, we got the Blue Jays and Mariners and Brewers and Phillies with these potential buys. Do these home field advantages not matter as much? I know you guys were saying that the wild card, you'd rather have a wild card, but truly, this is home field advantage we're talking about too.
I would say home field advantage really matters the most in the wild card series because it's 3 games. You got to.
So it doesn't matter in the NLDS, ALDS.
In the NLDS,
everybody gets to play at least a few games in their home.
Yeah, it's just like basketball. You have to win 3 games instead of 2 for this one, but it's just like basketball. You can go in and lose one of the games, but as long as you take one on the road and you take care of your home,
But you have more home field though. You have more home field.
Once you get to the bye, you're kind of used to it at that point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you've been in that environment because and that's another reason why I think the bye is honestly a little bit of a disadvantage because especially if let's say the Guardians they'll beat the fuck ass Tigers, but let's say the Guardians they go on and they play the Mariners and let's not even say they take both of the first 2 in CL. Let's just say they take they split the series, especially if they win the second game. Then the Mariners, they go to Cleveland. That's the first away game they've played the whole postseason. That's going to be an unfamiliar feeling, especially a team like the Mariners. They haven't made the postseason since 2021. Before that, it was a team – they haven't made it since 2000. It was before I was born. And a team obviously comes down to some teams have more postseason experience than others. But if I'm a team like Cleveland, I would love to have Seattle in a 1-1 split going back to Cleveland against a team that the majority of their stars have never even been to the playoffs before.
Mm-hmm. And no one talks about when you talk about the divisional series, that game 1 is the most important game for the home team because you have to win that game. You have to at least have some kind of stability that you won first. And if you lose game 2, well, you're bound to bounce back in game 3. If you lose game 1, you ultimately have all the pressure in the world to come out and win game 2.
Especially if you're the type of team where you're top heavy when it comes to the rotation. If the Tigers somehow sneak into the playoffs, they basically have to win the Scooble game because if they roll out Jack Flaherty or fucking I don't know, Troy Melton or something like that. Right now, the Tigers rotation, they would be starting a rookie in Cleveland if they lose the Scooble game. That's basically a death sentence, and that's why I think we were talking about earlier, the Cubs winning the Shota start or the Padres winning the Michael King start is so important is because you might not have a better chance to win than game one because you're obviously going to be rolling out your best starter.
Now, I want to get to this next question that I was going to have, and this is a pretty obvious one. Aaron Judge or Kyle Riley for AL MVP? Now, I got Riley, but that's with me.
It's I ain't gonna say it's easy because
Not
Aaron
easy,
Judge, what
no.
he's doing is phenomenal, especially with his
I got Aaron
background
Judge
and
still.
all the other statistical offensive categories. But you have to give it to Cal because what he's doing at the catching position, people don't you don't understand how demanding it is to catch and then get up and go hit and then come back and catch again for 130 some games, and then you being the sole big time offensive player on the team, it's a lot of pressure on you to carry. And he just carried them to the 2 seed in the AL when they were back in June, they were 3rd, I believe, in the AL West. And they just shot up the minute he just went off, and they just won the AL West. I think the first time since 2005, I think 16, something like that. So it's like what he's doing with the Mariners is historic, and he just passed Griffey, the greatest Mariner outside of Ichiro. Is like that's no knock, and he still got 3 games to pass Aaron Judge's single season home run record. So if he even do that, it's practically unanimous at that point.
If he can pass Judge, I'd probably. The thing is that it's so hard to like, and I know this is such like a generalized way to put it, but it's just kind of hard to picture a 250 hitter getting MVP.
Yeah.
Then you have Aaron Judge batting almost 300 with a 1,000 OPS. The thing that I think is going to really give Cal an argument, because he had a bad like 2 or 3 week stretch from like mid-August to like early September. The thing that I really think is going to give Cal the edge is his defense. He's never been known as like an elite defensive catcher, but this year, Hop Time ranks top 10 in the MLB. He's a great framer. He doesn't have any. He doesn't allow pass balls. His defense, in my opinion, is like the least talked about part of his game because he's never really been like an elite defensive catcher. And he's still not elite, but he's been one of the better ones in baseball. And I think that's really is what's going to elevate him.
David, I'll back that up by saying he was the Platinum Glove last year in the AL. So, I mean, the glove's been there. So that's not anything new, I guess. But I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to say that Aaron Judge deserves it. And Cal Raleigh has had a great season. Historically, the best power season from a catcher ever. But, I mean, on the other side of things, he is batting 250. And it's not like Aaron Judge's defense has been far behind. And you could obviously – I understand the argument for Cal Raleigh, but what Aaron Judge is batting 330, and he's not far behind in the power department either. He played less games. Obviously, the catcher is a more premium position, and I think that Raleigh will get the edge that just because of, obviously, his impact on the Mariners and the run that they have went on. But I think that if we take away the jerseys, if you take the pinstripes off of Judge and you just look at pure performance from an MLB player, I think that Aaron Judge played better.
Now, my last question. Go ahead.
I would say that no one's like taking anything away from Aaron Judge because at some point you kind of expect these kind of numbers from Aaron Judge, and you see somebody that come out of their skin like Cal for a team that haven't been this hot, been this good for like almost a decade. That's where the MVP comes in for me.
I'll play devil's advocate a little and say that to go off Drew's point, I think catcher is like the tight end position in football, the most top-heavy position by far. In my opinion, there's really only like 3 or 4 elite catchers in baseball. You got Cal, you got Will Smith, you got Contreras, and honestly, like you could maybe even stop the list there. Guys like Real Muto and like Adley Rutschman have kind of fallen off. Hunter Goodman's pretty good, but once you get past the top 10 catchers, you don't even like have like all-star level players. And that for any other position, there's maybe like 15 to 20 guys that you would take. But so I think catching being the most shallow position in terms of overall talent across the league, seeing a catcher have this historic of a season might be elevating his popularity a little bit.
All right, go ahead.
Now, my last question is, I'm always going to ask you this every Friday until your team gets knocked out. who do we have in the World Series championship game as of right now, as things stand at the moment?
I got the Mariners versus the Dodgers. It's just hard for me to say that a Dodgers team like they have now and only got better, especially with their bullpen. Yes, they say the bullpen has been taxed, but when it comes to the postseason, everybody's stats is fresh. Everybody's new. This is a brand new season. And with the Dodgers on paper, they're the best in the NL. So I just feel that the Mariners, with their hot streak and with the MVP, in my eyes, for the way he's playing, they have an easier role, especially against the Guardians and Tigers. Not saying the Guardians or the Tigers are bad, but I would rather play the Guardians or the Tigers than the Yankees or the Red Sox, and especially in the DS. And then when the ALCS comes, you will be able to have you would have a series under your belt, and we'll really see what it is from there. But I feel like I got the Mariners and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, I don't mean to be boring, but yeah, I think I've said it before. I think the Mariners have by far the best pitching rotation in the AL, and I think they stack up against the Brewers very, very well. I mean, Bryce, you got your top four guys of Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and Luis Castillo. Bryce Miller as your fifth starter is nasty. And like they had a fantastic trade deadline, got two of the best bats available with Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor. Jalen, you were talking about how Cal's had to carry. I think those are two guys that could really help supplement them. You add Julio Rodriguez, who's
we didn't even add J-Rod.
Yeah, I was gonna say, haven't even mentioned him, but like, and they have a good back half of their lineup. And especially if they don't have to play the Guardians, then I feel like they have a pretty solid path to make it. Because the Blue Jays aren't like a renowned postseason contender. The Red Sox will be without Roman Anthony, and the Yankees, like the Mets, have kind of limped into the postseason. So I really think this could be the Mariners' year.
Man, I have to pick the Brewers until the wheels fall off. And on the other side, the Mariners have been the popular pick. I don't have a whole lot of questions about them, but for some reason, the team I always have no questions about somehow gets knocked out. So I'm going to say that the Yankees will make it to the World Series and play the Brewers.
Milwaukee versus New York. Interesting. Hey,
I think that's
you don't think the Cubs are making the World Series?
If they had Justin Steele, I could feel that they can definitely take a chance with the Dodgers. But with Justin Steele being gone, and then you asked him so much from Cade Horton in a 7-game series, you need a steal. And now that Steele is not there, I think their pitching is going to run out. Colin Ray's great. Javier Asad's great, but he's no Justin Steele. Justin Steele, like, what was it, last year, was running with aces. Like, he was running with, like, Cy Young at one point. So, if they had a Justin Steele in there with the emergence of Cade Horton, I could definitely see the Cubs in the World Series.
Justin Steele has the leadership aspect, too.
Yeah. The way they were playing, too, they weren't playing like this when Steele was playing. Like, he was always in their grill, especially that one time he was pitching great in Milwaukee and they weren't hitting. Right after that, he just lit a fire in the dugout and they just came out and started hitting. So it's like, yeah.
That's the reason I don't think the Yankees are going to make a run is like, especially when you get to the CS, man, having like a third or fourth starter you can depend on is so important. And like, obviously, you can't replace a guy like Garrett Cole, but once you get past Max Fried and Carlos Rodon, it gets a little harder for me to trust that starting rotation. I mean, Luis Hill is all right, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think that's just a flair pick. If it was up to me, I would go Brewers Mariners just because that would be the most fun World Series and that's what everybody else wants. But I just, for some reason, every time that a team has everything going for them into the playoffs, somehow they find a way to fall off. We've seen it with the Phillies in the past. We've seen it with the Braves a couple of times when they were expected to win. The years that they're not expected to win are the ones that they've made the runs in. So I feel like it's just always – and, I mean, it'd be unfair to not allow the Blue Jays to have a shot at being in there too. They're the 1 seed right now. They should –
I'm going to say no Blue Jays talk. Man,
and, man, their offense is really – they've really come on. And I was able to see George Springer firsthand. That dude was tearing the cover off of Brewers pitching. If he gets into another series with the Brewers, he is going to be a freaking menace.
All right, man. Look, that's great. That's the baseball talk with Drew, Jalen, and David this week. We had some fun talks, not as heated as last week, kind of at the beginning, but last week was pretty heated. That was great. But now we're getting into our final thoughts. Make them quick, boys. I know we've been on for a little bit. Everybody's getting a little antsy, but we'll make it a little bit quick, a little bit fun. Final thoughts. Drew, I'll start with you since we haven't started with you today.
Yeah, I'll go real quick. My Reds hot take could definitely hit the wayside in the next 2 games. If they lose 2 games and they're out, yeah, then obviously that's the case. But there is that sneaky bit that makes it interesting, and I think the Mets will end up making it if for some reason if the Reds don't make it. I think that the Mets will make a good run at the Dodgers, but I think that the Dodgers will beat them. I think that the Reds have more of a pop that the Mets don't right now, and they have more pitching than the Mets do. So I think that if there's any team that's going to make a huge run, it would be the Reds coming out of the 7th seed and making it into the playoffs, sneaking one out against the Dodgers and making it interesting in a DS series.
Go ahead, David.
Oh yeah, well, I'll piggyback off of Drew, man. I'm a White Sox fan because I'm from grew up in Chicago, but being born in Michigan, man, it has broken my heart to see how badly the Tigers have collapsed. Man, if they somehow, honestly, I don't really care much about the division. That doesn't really matter. I mean, it's like fun at the end of the day, but it's not like if you get into the playoffs, get into the playoffs. But if they don't get into the playoffs, this will be, I know Brendan was talking a little bit in the group chat, this will be the biggest collapse of all time. And it's really the only time I can look back at a trade deadline and say that the GM Scott Harris actively made the Tigers worse. If they would have just got Kyle Finnegan and not done anything else, they would have been in such a better position. They decided to roll the dice on 42-year-old Charlie Morton and Chris Paddock, who has a 5.2 ERA, to try to be your backhand starters. I just don't understand why you don't roll with. They rolled with Rafael Montero and Troy Melton, 2 guys that they already had, and then the 2 guys that they picked up got DFA'd. Like it just, oh man, I gotta stop before I get into it. But man, I really hope the Tigers make the postseason so they don't become like a statistic of like the biggest wasted Cy Young season ever and other shit like that.
Jalen, go ahead.
Cubs look good right now. They have 6-1 going into the top of the 8th. They're going to have that magic number come down to 1 to where they can host. Excited for it, and I feel like this is going to be this weekend of baseball is probably going to be one of the best weekends of baseball we've had in a long time.
100%.
Everything is up for grabs right now. 1 seed is up. Divisions are up for grabs. Wild cards, home, wild card, hosting, all of it. Everything is up for grabs. And every game matters. Every single game, except for like maybe the Pirates versus the Braves. But every game that a team is contending in, every game will matter. So,
real quick, shout out college football, Georgia, Alabama this week. I will be there.
Really,
Brazil is something special with Tennessee.
My final thought, just to piss David off, Zion is going to be different this year. I said it the other day. I am willing to bet a lot of money that he lost this much weight. No, I don't want to hear it. People say it on Instagram all the time that this is every year. No, they don't. They don't say this every year. They talk about concerning things about Zion every year. They have never been this confident in Zion in the past, 5 years, 6 years he's been in the league. I mean, I'm so excited. I'm so happy he's actually getting back in shape. And I know the only reason Jeff Teague hit on this a lot. He was very, very annoyed at the press conference because, he was very annoyed because, now he wants to do this because his contract's about to end up, vanished or whatever. Eventually, they had to put a whole bunch of notes on his contract to make sure that he's doing things that he's supposed to be doing to get paid, which is like whatever. It's kind of silly, but I'm just excited. I'm excited to see Zion, and I stand on it. If he is healthy for a very majority, if he's healthy majority of the season, they are making the playoffs as the 8th seed. I don't care what anyone says. They do it every year.
I'll to you, man. I like Zion. I don't hate it. I don't hate Zion at all. I just think the narrative around him needs to shift until if he plays 55, 60 games this year, I'll give it to you.
Last time he did, they made playoffs. Like I said it the other day.
He averaged 27. Healthy Zion is top 5 power forward in the league. We just haven't seen healthy Zion in a while.
Top 15 player in the league when he's healthy. But that is all for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be back here on Tuesday. Like, subscribe everywhere. from all of us. Yes, go Brewers, and go, I guess, Cubs, if Jalen wants to say that.
Yeah,
And,
just Rodman.
Go Cubs.
boo White Sox. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today, and we are going to see you guys on Tuesday.